Hello and welcome back. So you are looking into getting into the wedding videography business. First of all, it's not as hard as it seems. Especially when you get one or two under your belt, you realise they're all pretty much the same. So you don't really have to worry about anything different every time you do it. Schedules are generally the same, maybe a couple other things, but you really don't have to prepare for anything different each time you go, as long as you have the right gear and you know what's coming. This is what today's video is going to be about. The gear I use for filming a wedding by myself. I do not have any help. It is literally me and my cameras. That's it. So let's get into it. So first of all, before I get into gear, one thing I do have to stress, it's not about the gear itself. Well, kind of. It's about telling a story. It's not just about sticking a camera in a corner of a room and pressing record. You have to know what moments to get, what's important. And you need to be a filmmaker rather than just a cameraman. The best wedding videographers create a story throughout the day. They use moments. It doesn't have to be linear. Very rarely are my films in chronological order, because the way I put them together, I feel it tells much more of a story and it becomes a much more interesting and emotive for the viewer and of course the main client, which is the couples. So first things first, what cameras do I use? Well, the one that is filming now is an A7 IV. I pair that with my older A7 III. The A7 IV is a 10-bit 422, absolute beast of a machine. The A7 III isn't, of course, not quite as good, but 8 bits, 420 if you do want to get a bit technical. The reason I use Sony's is because of the autofocus. It's brilliant. And the other reason I use them is because of the low light capabilities, especially in the UK where we don't have many outdoor weddings and generally they're in churches with relatively bad lighting. Low light capabilities of the Sonys are just second to none. That also comes into the partnership with the lenses I use as well. Before we get into the lenses, obviously a lot of people will know I am a proud Samyang ambassador and I have been for the last year approximately. So all my lenses are Samyang, and I actually used Samyang lenses before I became an ambassador. For me, they just work. The autofocus is great, they are crisp and sharp, but they're not overly sharp like some of the Sony lenses are. The lenses are, don't get me wrong, they're good, yes, but they're just a little bit too sharp, a little bit too crisp and clean, and I don't like the feel you get from them. The Samyang lenses feel a little bit more natural. Plus, I like the way the company's going. They're just getting better and better, bringing more people on board, and it just seems the future is going to be very, very good with them. So, first lens. My favourite lens is this one. This stays on my A7 IV, which is obviously now filming. This is the 50mm f1.4 Mark II. I used to use the Mark I. It was a little bit loud and it was okay, but this is just worlds apart. So this generally stays on my A7 IV. That's it. Next is my 35mm f1.8, which is filming me right now. The lens itself is very, very small. It's very, very light. Again, the f1.8, just like the f1.4 in here, is very fast, unlike the next lens I'll just bring out in a second. I use the lenses, again, because they're fast. Shooting in the churches is fairly dark. Shooting party is very dark, and I really don't want to push my ISO. Even though I can, I don't want to push my ISO too much to get, because I really want to kind of keep hold of that noise. The 35mm is my medium wide. The 50mm is my medium. So to get the full balance of wide, medium and close, the next is the new 135mm f1.8. This has quickly jumped into my camera bag. I used to use the 85mm f1.4, but when this came out, again, with it being one of the newer lenses, the autofocus is faster, it's quieter, absolutely no chromatic aberration at all. Hey, I said it right. It's a lens that is very, very useful, even though it's quite a long focal length. A lot of the places that you're filming, especially the UK, are fairly cramped. So what I can do, especially with the speeches, I can sit, well, not sit, but stand further back and use this to still get a really crisp image and looking like it's fairly close, but I'm not. It also separates the background out very, very nice to give you that cinematic look. So enough for lenses. Next is my newest bit of kit. This thing is brilliant. I love this. So this is my ATOMOS Ninja 5. The ATOMOS is generally on my A7 IV. The reason for that is because the A7 IV's 10-bit 422 is very, very data intensive, and it also slows my computer down. Even though my computer is seriously fast, the data and the codecs are quite difficult to use. So this, one of its tricks, it records onto an SSD. So that's a 1TB SSD. I don't have to worry about going through memory cards. And it also changes that difficult Sony codec into ProRes. The ProRes codec is a lot easier to edit, a lot easier to grade, and I've still got that high quality I would do if I was going directly from the memory card in a camera. If you do any video at all, a monitor is a must. This monitor plus my other, this is just a field world monitor, this doesn't record or anything. But the Ninja will show me false colours, it will show me where it's sharp, it will show me version of a histogram. I do shoot S-Log, so it's a flat picture profile. But what this can also do as well, it will show me what it'll actually look like, but not actually recording what it'll look like. It still records in S-Log, so I can grade later, if that makes sense. Next, we have some fairly important things. Audio is probably more important than what video is sometimes. You can get away with not bad, but dodgy kind of video in some parts. But if you have bad audio, you are not going anywhere and you'll get in trouble with clients. I have here a Zoom H1N that goes with the Rode Lav. I use this for miking the groom during the ceremony. I mic the groom, obviously it goes onto the groom one here, and that will pick up both bride and groom's wedding vows. This is a Sony TX660. It's a tiny little dictaphone. This goes on the Efficient. This slips into suit pocket, goes on, just a dictaphone. Very, very easy. Two on-camera microphones. I use these not as the audio itself, but as a backup audio, and also to synchronize these. The last bit of audio, last mic, is this tiny little thing here. This is a Instamic. Basically just got a magnetic thing on it, which is just underneath me. That can be hidden anywhere. Really, really simple. So that's all during the ceremony. During speeches, this generally, if we're actually using a mic and a speaker system, this goes on the mic itself in just a little sleeve. So as the kind of talking, that's next to the voice as well. So it picks up very, very clean audio. If they're not using a speaker, this goes on a little mini tripod and just goes onto the table in front of them. These mics on here are omnidirectional, so we'll pick up generally most people if they're close together. If not, I just move this, use this in conjunction with this as well. So I'll pick up all the speeches that I need. Right, so let's get rid of them. Next bit. Everybody knows what these are. This is my DJI Mavic Air. I am still using the first model. To be honest, I don't need to upgrade. This shoots 4K. It's very light. It's very small. It's not particularly data intensive, and it just does the job. I only probably use it for maybe 10-15 seconds of footage anyway, so it doesn't really matter. This, we all know what this is as well. This is my DJI RSC2. I've just upgraded from the old SC. I didn't need the S2 because it's just a little bit too big and too heavy. This does the job. This also holds my A7 IV, which is in a cage, plus whichever lens I need to put on. So again, I don't buy gear that I don't need, which is overkill, because at the end of the day, it's the business money, and it's heavy. Filming for possibly 10 hours, 12 hours, you need all the breaks you can get. So last is a freewheel VND. Again, if you do any kind of video, you know that shooting in sun is well, it's kind of difficult. So instead of changing any settings, you don't really want to crank up your shutter. So you use a variable neutral density. This is a freewheel one. It's not particularly cheap. Retails about £90 odd. This is a 2 to 5 stop VND. This is always, anytime I'm outside, this is always on my camera. Bought a bigger one, and then you just use step down rings. I do have some other filters as well, in case I'm chopping and changing very quickly between my A7 IV, which is the 50mm, or my A7 III, which generally has either the 135 or the 35mm as well. So, apart from batteries, memory cards, etc., etc., I'm not going to go into all the details. That you need a lot of batteries and you need a lot of memory cards if you're not using something like the ATOMOS. That's about it. Feel free to make any comments below, anything you would like to know more about, but that's pretty much a whistle-stop tour of the gear I use for filming a wedding by myself. The only other thing is a tripod. I generally have 2 tripods with me. One's the big Manfrotto, which is that camera, and then I also have a smaller 3-legged thing. And again, that's it. My next video, I will be going into filming a wedding a little bit more. I'll show you kind of where to go, where to stand, and what to look out for. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, any comments about any questions at all, please let me know, and I will try to answer them as soon as possible, or even send me a message. You're more than welcome. Cheers, guys.